All right. It is 5 o'clock, everybody. So, welcome to the very first edition of the Savvy Sports Podcast. My name is Jaime Nazario. I will be your host every single Monday, every single Wednesday here on twitch.tv. And then these broadcasts will be taken over to YouTube every Tuesday and every Thursday. Undetermined times because I do work. I will be posting out on my Twitter and on my Facebook accounts as to when these podcasts will go live. But for right now, we will just do it on a day-by-day basis and, of course, keep up with me on all of my platforms. And I apologize, it's the first episode. I'm getting settled in. I have the chat up here on Twitch, so if you guys want to follow along, just feel free to comment. So, first things first, I would like to thank one of my friends, my good boy, Just Fresh Prince. Just Fresh Prince. He invited me on his show yesterday, the Fratcast, where we had a great conversation about Giannis Antetokounmpo potentially being a top 10 player of all time once his career is over. We talked a little bit about the Chicago Bears. We talked a little bit about Kevin Durant being in that top 10 mix. We brought up a few players in here and there. But that's not where I'm going to start today. That's not where I'm going to start today. And the reason is because I wanted to do this podcast and I wanted to wait a little bit so that I could watch the Green Bay Packers game. Ladies and gentlemen, I am depressed. I am depressed. The Green Bay Packers have gone on a 4-game skid. You lost to the Giants. You lose to the Jets. You lost a game last week to the Commanders, if I'm not mistaken. Who did they lose to last week? I'm looking it up here. Oh, my Lord. The Packers lost. No, they lost to the Bills. My apologies. The Packers lost to the Bills. And then this week, they go and they decide to lose to the Detroit Lions. Now, we understood that we had issues when the season started. I cannot stand the fact that this is where I'm starting my first ever podcast. I'm supposed to be in a good mood. I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be talking about all things sports. But I have to talk about the Green Bay Slackers. What are we doing in Green Bay? I need answers. I need answers as to what is going on in Green Bay. Matt LaFleur cannot coach, okay? He was considered the golden boy, 3 back-to-back 13-win seasons. Aaron Rodgers is a reigning, defending MVP of the league. He's not getting a third one this season. He is not getting a third MVP this season. We are 3 games under 500. We were supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, and the Green Bay Packers do not make a move at the trade deadline. It does not make any sense under this light. It doesn't make sense as to why the Packers stink. Who do we have? Who do we have up in the schedule? We have the Cowboys next week. I'm pretty sure we're going to lose that one because Aaron Rodgers is going to be contained by that Cowboys defense, as much as I hate to say it. The Titans, that's a winnable game. The Eagles, just wrap it up and count that as a loss. We're playing against the Bears. Please don't let us lose to the Bears. Please do not let us lose to the Bears. We have the Rams. That's a winnable game because the Rams have been iffy this year. We're playing the Dolphins. That's a loss. We're playing the Vikings. That could be a winnable game, even though the Vikings stomped the Packers out. And we have another game against the Lions. What are the Packers doing? What is happening in Green Bay, Wisconsin? You trade Devontae Adams. And what do you do with that pick? You grab a defensive player. Your defense is soft. Your defense is soft. Your offense is overrated. It doesn't make sense. I I just watched the game. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions. 3 interceptions. A man who never turns the football over. Throwing 3 interceptions. And we're going to blame it on decline on Aaron Rodgers when he was just league MVP 2 years in a row. Have you lost your mind? Matt LaFleur? Brian Gutekunst? What is going on in Green Bay? I need a minute to breathe. I need a minute looking at this schedule. The team was supposed to be better than this. I shouldn't have started it there. I should have not started the podcast there. But that is where we went. That is the most recent news. In other news, so let's go back to the conversation that we were having yesterday. If some of you tuned in to see my conversation with Just Prince Fresh and Auntie Deja, we had a great conversation yesterday about Giannis being top 10. I don't believe Giannis will be top 10 by the end of his career. I do not. Giannis Antetokounmpo has to leapfrog. His career stats have to leapfrog so many other players at this moment that I just don't see it happening. I don't see Giannis Antetokounmpo being a top 10 player by the end of his career. Kevin Durant is still playing at an elite level. Steph Curry's still playing at an elite level. LeBron James, who's already on that top 10 category, is playing at an elite level. I just don't see Giannis Antetokounmpo being able to reach that top 10 status. Can I see him being top 15? 100%. 100% I can see Giannis Antetokounmpo being a top 15 player of all time. But top 10, that is iffy. That is a little bit iffy. Now, I'm not saying Giannis is not great. I'm truly not. I'm not saying that Giannis Antetokounmpo cannot play the game of basketball. The guy's averaging, 32, 13, and 5? Giannis Antetokounmpo stats. I believe he's averaging 32 for this season. 32 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. He's been doing that, as my boy Fresh pointed out yesterday. He's been doing that consistently, I would say, for about 4 years now. Because Giannis Antetokounmpo was drafted in 2013 as the 15th overall pick to the Milwaukee Bucks. And then he spent a few years developing as a player. By the way, the Milwaukee organization has done a great job. The Packers should learn from that. They should learn how to develop a player. But besides the point, instead of trading him like we did with Devontae Adams. And the problem with Giannis is that his greatness was not allowed to flourish when there was another consistent elite player in the Eastern Conference, right? When Kawhi Leonard was in the Eastern Conference, what ended up happening was the Toronto Raptors created a wall where you had Serge Ibaka, you had Marc Gasol, you had Pascal Siakam, you had Kawhi Leonard. To a lesser degree, you had Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. The guards would challenge Giannis's dribble because he would come uphill, or downhill, from the top of the key. And he would kick it out to an open shooter, whether it was Chris Middleton at that moment in time, whether it was Eric Bledsoe, or whether it was Bobby Portis, who wasn't ready at that moment in time. Brooke Lopez was also on that team. He would kick it out to an open shooter or just try to go in and dunk it on you, right? Giannis was a player that you could game plan around. Now we are seeing Giannis develop a three-point shot. I believe that the skill set that a lot of these players came into the league with is what puts them ahead of Giannis Antetokounmpo as well. That is my personal belief. Kevin Durant came from Texas, averaging 25, 7, and 3. his rookie season. If I'm not mistaken, those were his averages. For his career, Kevin Durant is averaging about 27, 7, and 4. You have a player like Steph Curry who's averaging 25, 6, and 5, who's also in that top 10 category. They came into the league with that. LeBron James averaging 25, 7, and 7, averaging 27, 7, and 7, for his career. Winning Rookie of the Year, which some people would say should have gone to Carmelo Anthony. That is up for debate. That would be up for good discussion. But Giannis Antetokounmpo at this moment, if we are projecting his career in terms of winning more single-player accolades, getting into top 10 status, as presently constructed, I don't believe the Milwaukee Bucks are going to go back to the finals. I may be wrong about that, but I personally don't believe it. I personally don't believe, especially with Chris Middleton, I believe he had an ACL injury that kept him out of the playoffs last year. I believe that was the injury. With Chris Middleton missing, him not coming back at 100%, this team still taking some time. Giannis is great. But you still have to contend with Boston. You still have to contend with Miami, the Miamis of the world. I believe that the Miami Heat are still a threat, even though they stink too. The Miami Heat stink too right now. Let's not get it twisted, and I'm upset to say that. But that's besides the point. I digress. The Knicks are a scrappy team. The Chicago Bulls, DeMar DeRozan, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy, DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, we thought he was going to be a minimum contract player. And DeMar DeRozan has gone to Chicago. I think he just dropped like 47 points a few nights ago. DeMar DeRozan has been special. The Chicago Bulls are going to be in that mix. You have a team like, I already mentioned the Nets, I mentioned the Knicks, I mentioned Miami, I mentioned Chicago, Boston. So I'm giving you 5 teams right there who can all contend. The Knicks are a stretch, but they're playing scrappy defense. It looks like Tom Thibodeau has the ear of these players again. It looks like they're playing well. And Jalen Brunson has been a very good pickup. Slightly overpaid, but he has been a very good pickup for this team. So I believe that with the ascendance of the Eastern Conference, that would be what holds Giannis Antetokounmpo back from winning more accolades, more MVPs, more Defensive Player of the Year awards, winning more championships. I don't believe that the Milwaukee Bucks will win one more championship. Let's just say that. That's my personal belief. I believe Milwaukee can win maybe one more. Because I believe that this will be the year of the Brooklyn Nets or the Boston Celtics repeating as Eastern Conference champions. I believe that last year was an anomaly for the Brooklyn Nets, getting swept, being the only team that got swept in the first round. I don't believe that that'll happen again. Especially now that Steve Nash is gone. If they get a coach like Ime Udoka to come up in there, talk to these guys, get them all on the same page. Ben Simmons, I believe that Ime Udoka can bring the best out of Ben Simmons. I do believe so, especially with the way that we saw how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were playing together last year, as opposed to it looking towards the second part of the season, because the Celtics struggled a little bit under Ime Udoka to start off the season. Then they come in at right around the All-Star break, go on a crazy run, make it all the way to the finals where they lose in 6 games to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. I believe that Ime Udoka is the guy for this Brooklyn Nets job. And I believe that it will be Ime Udoka who brings the best out of Ben Simmons as a facilitator, as a guy who can push the ball up the floor, as a guy whom you won't require him to shoot, But it will also be up to Ben Simmons, and if he wants to embrace that role as a point forward of grabbing the rebound, pushing the ball up the floor with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Joe Harris needs to come back. This team misses Joe Harris. You have Royce O'Neal up in there now. You have Seth Curry. You have Patty Mills. Basically, you've created the perfect situation for Ben Simmons. This team is the perfect situation for Ben Simmons to average double-digit assists. Even though we have the whole situation with Kyrie Irving, and I sincerely don't want to get into the whole situation, I'm not very well informed as to what it was that Kyrie said, the video that he posted. Kyrie Irving is still a damn good basketball player. And you have him, like I said, Kevin Durant, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Royce O'Neal could shoot the three and he could defend. You have a situation in Brooklyn where Ben Simmons he should thrive under that situation. And Steve Nash was not the correct coach for this team. He never was. Could Steve Nash go and coach somewhere? I believe that he could be a great assistant, potentially take over the San Antonio job if Greg Popovich wants to retire. But at this moment, Steve Nash is fired for a reason. And again, I believe that it will be either Ime Udoka, or I don't see how the Brooklyn Nets don't give a guy like Mark Jackson a call. I believe that would be a very good pickup as well. Good at developing players. He helped develop that Golden State system that Steve Kerr came in and took over with Steph, Clay, Draymond. You had Harrison Barnes at that moment in time, if I'm not mistaken, with the closing five, the death lineup with Andre Iguodala in there now. Mark Jackson can be a very good pickup as well. Even though he's in the booth and he's a very good commentator as well, sitting next to Mike Breen, the great Mike Breen, and the great Jeff Van Gundy. I do believe that Mark Jackson should be a head coach in the NBA. I sincerely believe that. I know about 5 teams off the top of my head that can call Mark Jackson to come in and develop them and develop the players, the system, and the chemistry that those teams have going on right now. I believe that there are 5 jobs where if Mark Jackson said, I want to be a head coach in the NBA, these 5 teams should call him immediately. You know, that you have the Detroit Pistons, who are an ascending team with a rising star like Cade Cunningham. Jaden Ivey is special. Jaden Ivey is special. Guard of the Detroit Pistons. And speaking of, we're transitioning a little bit back and forth. Again, this is the first podcast, so I want to be able to just get in as much as possible, and then as topics become of discussion, I will center it a little bit more around each specific topic, each specific episode. But there is a player that I want to talk about really quick, and that is Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero, drafted number 1 overall to the Orlando Magic. Paolo Banchero, in his rookie campaign, is averaging 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists for a rookie. 23, 8, and 4. Again, this kid is special. Orlando, you got a superstar in the making in Paolo Banchero. I believe that Paolo Banchero, with his ability to score the ball, his floor is a player the likes of a Jason Tatum. His ceiling could be Kevin Durant. And even though there might not be a precipitous drop off between those two players, between Tatum and Durant, I believe that Paolo Banchero, his size, the way he moves, the footwork, his ability to put the ball in the hoop, I believe he could very well be a Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant type of player for the Orlando Magic, especially after a great season last year at Duke under Coach K in his final year. But Paolo Banchero is going to be winning a few MVPs. Let's just say that in the near future. He's runaway rookie of the year right now. He's runaway rookie of the year. I believe that my top three rookie of the year candidates right now are Paolo Banchero. You have Ben Mathurin. Ben Mathurin is in conversation for rookie of the year as well, along with sixth man of the year. Sixth man of the year, because if I'm not mistaken, the Indiana Pacers have Ben Mathurin coming off the bench. He's in the conversation for sixth man of the year, and they have Jaden Ivey out of the Detroit Pistons. He can also win rookie of the year. But like I said, it's runaway Paolo Banchero. The kid is special. The kid has talent. It's going to take the right coach, the right system to put that together where it works for him. But that's somebody, and I believe he's only 19. Paolo Banchero is 19 years old. And again, he in 34 and a half minutes, he's averaging 23, 8, and 4 at 19 years old. Special. Flat out must see. That he is going to be box office in about 2 years. He is going to be one of those players where you go to Orlando, or if he's coming into your town, you go to the basketball game to see what Paolo Banchero is going to do. And of course, I say all this barring injury. We don't want anybody to get injured in the league. But Paolo Banchero is indeed special. Another player that I would like to talk about today, another team, obviously has to be the Los Angeles Lakers. We have to get into the Lakers today. The Los Angeles Lakers are 2-6 in the season. They have 2-7 in the season. Wow, they lost today to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm just looking it up now. LeBron never loses to Cleveland when he is away from or when he plays against Cleveland. They never lose to Cleveland. But they are 2-7 in the season. They have lost to the Warriors. They've lost to the Clippers. They've lost to the Nuggets. They lost to the Timberwolves. They've lost to the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz have been a revelation this year, but we'll get into them in a little bit. The Los Angeles Lakers, like I said, are 2-7. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. What can we say about this roster? I'm going to run down the roster for the Los Angeles Lakers now. You have LeBron, you have Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, it feels like he won a championship, and it didn't matter to him anymore to be an elite player. That's how I feel about Anthony Davis. The way you watch him, when you saw him in New Orleans, Anthony Davis in New Orleans was a monster. You dreaded playing against Anthony Davis in New Orleans. The guy was averaging 28, 13, 4 assists with 2 blocks and a steal, 2 to 3 blocks and a steal every single game. When he would play 65 plus games every season. That was Anthony Davis. He comes to LA in the summer of 2019. And if we look at his stats here for 2019, I'm pulling them up now. In 2019, Anthony Davis averaged 26, 9, and 3 with 2.5 blocks and a steal and a half. Since then, 21, 8, and 3, 23, 10, 3, 23, 11, and 2.5 assists this season with 2.5 blocks. So there has been a decline in Anthony Davis. Not to mention that his three-point shooting last season was atrocious. This year he's under 25%. Whereas with the Pelicans, his best shooting year, it looks like it was 34%, which is respectable. But again, I mean, you look at these Pelicans numbers and then you look at these Los Angeles Lakers numbers. Anthony Davis won a championship, and he's not the same. He has not been the same. And for a player the caliber of an Anthony Davis, you should be mentioned with the likes of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid as some of the top bigs in the league, and you're just not in those conversations. I don't understand what is going on with Anthony Davis. Because if Anthony Davis was playing New Orleans style Anthony Davis, where he was getting 28, 12, and 4 with 3 blocks and 2 steals, we wouldn't be having this conversation about the Lakers. And again, we go back, like I said, he played an average of about 65 to 66 games. His rookie season in 2012, he played 64 games, 67 games his second year, third year, 68 games, fourth year, 61 games. Fifth and sixth years, he plays 75 games respectively. The year before he gets traded, he plays 56. The first year of the Lakers, which is when they went into the bubble, he played 62 games. Since then, 2 seasons ago, he played 36 games. And last year, he played less than half at 40 games. There is something wrong with that picture. 100%. Anthony Davis needs to step it up and remind everybody that he should be mentioned as a top 5 player in the league. He should be. He should be mentioned with Luka Doncic and Ja Morant and Giannis and Jokic and Embiid and LeBron and Steph and KD. He should be mentioned with those guys because he has the talent. Anthony Davis is only 28, 29 years old. He's 29. He's 29. How is it that LeBron James is 10 years older than you and it seems like he's in better shape? 10 years older. Kevin Durant is about 5 years older. He seems to love the game of basketball more than you do, AD. I believe Anthony Davis would fix a lot of the issues going on with the Lakers. So as we continue on, we have Lonnie Walker, who played in San Antonio for a few years. Patrick Beverley, who just came in from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota misses him. The Minnesota Timberwolves miss Patrick Beverley, I can tell you that much. The way he held those guys accountable, the way he brought that organization together. I believe the Timberwolves last year made the playoffs because of Patrick Beverley. Now, I'm not here to say that Patrick Beverley is a superstar player who can galvanize everybody to that degree and is going to go out there and drop 30 every game. But there are some guys that you have in the locker room that just fit what you're trying to do, and I believe that Patrick Beverley is sincerely missed in Minnesota. Scottie Pippen Jr., Max Christie, these guys are rookies who are coming into the league. Dennis Schroeder, who you just pick up again after having him in a Laker uniform a few years ago. Dennis Schroeder famously turned down a 4-year, $84 million contract a few years back? 4 years, $84 million. Offered to him by Rob Pelinka halfway through the season, only for Dennis Schroeder to go to the Celtics. He went to the Celtics for $5 million, and then from there went to Houston, where he played, I believe it was for a season or two before coming back to the Lakers. Troy Brown Jr. Troy Brown has always been a solid piece. Austin Reeves, I believe that's the Lakers' best shooter. Austin Reeves, I believe, is the Los Angeles Lakers' best shooter. That can't be. Austin Reeves cannot be your best shooter if you are a LeBron team. If you are on a team with LeBron James, shall I say. Thomas Bryant, who's a center who can play some minutes. Juan Toscano Anderson, an Energizer Bunny on defense. He can run. He can run to the rim, dunk. Matt Ryan, and we're not talking quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Ryan. Kendrick Nunn, who the Heat sincerely miss as a starting slash backup point guard. Damian Jones and Wenyen Gabriel, both of these guys are big boys, big bodies in the paint, and then Cole Swider, excuse me. Swider. I'm not too sure, but that is the Lakers roster. I believe right now, Lonnie Walker is the only person who stays, in my opinion. He's averaging about 22, 23 points, no? Lonnie Walker this season, averaging 17 points. But he's had a few games where he dropped, I believe he had a 27-point performance. I think he dropped 23 or 24 against the Golden State Warriors on opening night. He has been the best player. A 28 performance, 28 and 3 rebounds against the New Orleans Pelicans in a win. That was Lonnie Walker. I believe he's the only player who stays right now. That's my belief, is he's going to be the only player who stays. Everybody else can go. You want Patrick Beverley to stay for the sole purpose of having somebody in the locker room to just hold everyone accountable. Juan Toscano Anderson, I think you want somebody to guard on the perimeter, but I don't know if Toscano Anderson is the answer to that. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. Kendrick Nunn, who took a year off last year due to injury. Russell Westbrook, he's been playing very well coming off the bench. Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, I believe he's averaging about 16 to 18 points. He's in sixth man of the year contention. He's a sixth man of the year contender this year. I believe it's going to be him for sixth man. I believe that it is going to be, let me see, sixth man of the year. You have Russell Westbrook, you have Ben Mathurin in there. That's a tough one. But Russell Westbrook and Ben Mathurin are absolutely two of the top three sixth man of the year candidates at this moment. But the Lakers, I personally don't believe the Los Angeles Lakers are going to the playoffs. I truly don't. I don't believe that the Lakers are going to the playoffs. That's how terrible they are. 2-7 to start the season. They're not making a play-in tournament, let alone the playoffs. A LeBron James and Anthony Davis team not going to the play-in tournament, let alone the playoffs. Wow. Another team that I want to get into is let's just talk about the league. Let's just talk about the entire NBA. What are we looking at standings wise? NBA standings. What are we looking at here? The Eastern Conference, we have Milwaukee at 9-0, number one. The Cleveland Cavaliers picking up Donovan Mitchell. That hasn't been a bad pickup, has it? Donovan Mitchell has been an MVP candidate under the Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe Donovan Mitchell's averaging about 29 points and 6 assists. He's been a very good pickup playing alongside Darius Garland, the developing Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. The Boston Celtics coming next. Them and the Atlanta Hawks are tied for 3-4 with 6 wins, 3 losses apiece. The Toronto Raptors sneaking in there at 5-4. The Bulls are in there. That would be the top 6 at this moment. About 8 to 9 games into the season. The Bulls are at 500 right now. The Pacers are at number 7 with 4 wins, 5 losses on the season. Again, Tyrese Halliburton, the starting point guard for that team, with Ben Mathurin coming in off the bench. Chris Duarte just went down. We send our regards here at the Savvy Sports Podcast. I hope that kid gets better very soon. The Pacers are going to miss him, and he was ascending. Seeing Chris Duarte's ascension is obviously something that we should all pay attention to, because he is somebody who will be nice in the league. The New York Knicks sitting at 4 wins, 5 losses as well. So it's a three-headed tie. Pacers, Knicks, and Wizards, all of them at 4 wins, 5 losses. The Wizards with Kyle Kuzma, Bradley Beal, whom I believe is never leaving the Washington organization as long as they back trucks of money into his house. The Brooklyn Nets sitting at 4-6, tied up with the Heat and the 76ers. All 3 of those teams round up the top 12 of the Eastern Conference. And then, obviously, the last 3 of the Eastern Conference, the Charlotte Hornets, who have been missing LaMelo Ball, at 3-7. And then the Pistons and the Magic, both sitting at 2 games won and 8 games lost. I could see the Milwaukee Bucks winning the first seed. I could see that. I could see either them or the Cleveland Cavaliers being the first seed in the Eastern Conference. I truly could see that. I could see that. We have the Boston Celtics and the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are going to be very good this year. I think that the Celtics are going through a learning curve under their new head coach. His name escapes me at this moment. I believe that the Nets will be better. The Nets are winning some games now. They're not as far back as 1-3 or 1-4, which is, I believe, how they started their season. The Miami Heat are also winning games. They're getting some chemistry together. I believe that out of that top 8, you knock the Pacers off, and you knock the Knicks off. So I believe 1 through 10. If I have to make a guess now, 9 games into the regular season, I'm picking Cleveland as my first seed, Milwaukee as a 2nd seed. I would put Atlanta at the 3rd seed, the Brooklyn Nets at the 4th seed. 5th seed, we have did I mention the Celtics? 4th seed, the Brooklyn Nets. So at the 5th seed, we have the Celtics. And then as the 6th seed, I believe the Bulls will be in that top 6. Then 7, Miami. 8, Philly. Or you know what? No. Knock the Bulls down to the 8th seed. Put Philly up on the 6th seed. Leave Miami at 7. And then at 9 and 10, we have New York. And I believe the Hornets. The Hornets can go on a run once they get LaMelo Ball back. They've been a playing team over the last 2 years. Both years have gotten knocked off. So look for the Hornets. Although the Pacers can also be a good team to pick in that top 10. Let's transition over to the Western Conference of the NBA. The Suns sitting at 7-2. They are frauds. The Phoenix Suns aren't going anywhere. I believe that they'll go home in the first round. The Phoenix Suns will go home in the first round of the playoffs this year. And number 2 right now, we have the Utah Jazz trading Donovan Mitchell, trading Rudy Gobert, getting 25,000 draft picks, along with Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton in that Donovan Mitchell trade. And then in the Rudy Gobert trade, I believe they got Kessler Edwards, who was a rookie this year, who was picked by Minnesota. They got Malik Beasley, and I believe it was 5 first-round draft picks for Rudy Gobert. The Utah Jazz have been good. They've been good under their new head coach. Again, whose name also escapes me at this moment. Colin said Lauri Markkanen is a most improved player of the year candidate. Lauri Markkanen, I believe he was the 7th overall pick for the Chicago Bulls a few years back. Lauri Markkanen has been playing out of his mind. Jordan Clarkson in the starting lineup now. Colin Sexton coming in off the bench. You have Malik Beasley who can give you the contribution. Do they still have Hassan Whiteside up in there? I know they have Azubuike, as a big man in the middle. And you still have Mike Conley. The Lakers should be on the phone with the Utah Jazz and seeing what they want to get Russell Westbrook off their books. If you could get back Jordan Clarkson and you can get back potentially I know the Jazz are not going to let go of Sexton or Lauri Markkanen. Those players were just traded for. I think that Mike Conley is now on the decline. I believe that's why the Utah Jazz couldn't get over the hump when they were playing against the Clippers a few years back in the playoffs. So, yeah, Mike Conley is on the decline. I don't see him being a reliable three-point shooting asset for the Lakers. At number 3, we have the Grizzlies. The Trailblazers at number 4. After a few years out of the playoffs, the Trailblazers are back better than ever, 3 games above 500. Then we have the Nuggets. The Blazers and the Nuggets are always on a collision course, aren't they? They're both at 4 and 5 with 6 and 3 apiece on the season. The Dallas Mavericks at 5 and 3. The New Orleans Pelicans, fresh off of a loss to the Los Angeles Lakers, at 5 and 4. The Clippers at 5 and 4. And then you have the Spurs and the Timberwolves both tied at 5 and 5. The Warriors are 3 and 7 on the season. Wow. The Golden State Warriors, the defending NBA champions, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole. They've added some new pieces. They added Dante DiVincenzo to make up, I believe, for the loss of Toscano Anderson, who went to the Lakers. They added JaMychal Green to make up for the loss of Otto Porter, who went to Toronto. I believe the Warriors are going to be fine. The Warriors will be fine. They'll probably end up replacing, let me see, in that top 10 right now, I genuinely did not expect the Utah Jazz to be 4 games above 500, 9 games into the season. I'll be honest with you. Man, who do you replace? Replace the Spurs. Replace the Spurs. I believe the top 10 of the Western Conference right now will stand. The Utah Jazz they might fade as the season goes on. But right now they're sitting above 500, which is better than half the teams that made the playoffs last year. And that is impressive. Let me see. If I had to pick them 1 through 10 right now, I would say, you know what? Keep the Suns at the number 1 seed, because why not? The Grizzlies will once again be the number 2 seed. I believe the Nuggets will be the number 3 seed. At the 4 seed, we could keep the Blazers. At the 5th seed, give me the Utah Jazz. As the 6th seed, the Pelicans. That's tough. That's tough because Utah making the top 6. Let me redo that then. We have the Suns. Number 1 through 6 is the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets. I believe the Blazers will keep that number 4 position. Then we have the Pelicans in at number 5. The Mavericks at number 6. It seems like they're always around that 4th through 6th seed. The Mavericks are. At 7 through 10, Wow, keeping the Clippers out of there, that would be tough. Keeping the Clippers out of there, even though it seems like Kawhi Leonard is just not healthy. Um, but you had to put the Utah Jazz in there. The Timberwolves, I believe, will once again be a playoff team. I didn't even have the Warriors at my top 10, at my top 8. Hmm, that is rough. The league, there's a lot of parity going on in the league right now. There's just a lot of parity going on in the league. A whole lot of good teams in the NBA right now. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I will put these picks together, though. I will absolutely put these picks together once I go back and I pick apart the stream and put the podcast together for YouTube. Um, Let me make official picks. Official picks. Okay, Suns 1, Grizzlies 2. At the third seed, we have the Nuggets. At the fourth seed, we have Golden State. Fifth seed, we have Trailblazers. At the sixth seed, I would say the Clippers. Seventh seed, Pelicans. Eighth seed, Dallas Mavericks. Nine, Timberwolves. And at the 10th seed, give me a dark horse. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder. I believe the Thunder will be a play-in team this year. They are sitting at 4-5 right now, one game back, half a game back of the Timberwolves, who are currently in the 10th spot. I believe San Antonio drops out of there. Utah, I once again don't have them. Oh, see, that's the problem. Is there's just so many good teams. I don't know what's going to happen with Utah. I don't know if Danny Ainge is going to want to tank the season for Victor Wembanyama. Hmm. I'm not entirely too sure, but I could see the Jazz. I could see the Thunder. I could see the Kings even sneaking their way in there, even though they're 2 games under 500. These are the entire Western Conference outside of the Lakers and the Rockets and the Spurs. I don't believe the Spurs are going to make the playoffs at all. So there you have 3 teams who are outside of it: the Spurs, Lakers, and Rockets. Everybody else, it's open season outside of the top 6. So that race for 7 through 10 is going to be rough this year for a lot of these teams. That race between 7 and 10. With 3 minutes left before we reach the 50-minute mark, let me make some finals predictions. Some finals predictions. Should I be doing that this early into the season? Hmm. Why not? For the NBA Finals this year, I believe it will be the Golden State Warriors getting back to the NBA Finals, representing the Western Conference and representing the East. I believe it will be. See, I want to say Brooklyn, but I'm feeling what the Cavaliers are doing, and it's making me say Cleveland goes back to the finals. So that's going to be my pick. It's going to be the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers on another collision course in the NBA Finals. Donovan Mitchell, after leaving the Western Conference, takes the Cavs back to the finals. And I believe that will be a 7-game series. I'm picking that early. Right now, if I had to bet on it, I absolutely would not bet on that to happen. But that is my finals predictions. And now we get to the segment of the show where I want to call this one my favorite down. Favorite down. It is my 2 favors of this week for you Chicago Bears fans. For those of you who know me, know that I cannot stand Chicago Bears fans. They are nauseating, they are annoying, and they just flat out make me hate football. So I have 2 favors for the Bears fans because Bears just lost today as well as the Green Bay Packers. I don't want to talk about the Packers right now. We spent the first 5 minutes of the show talking about it, but I got into this yesterday with Auntie Deja and Fresh as my 2 favors. I wish I could have had a way to record that, but unfortunately there was no way. But favor number 1 is don't eat before a Chicago Bears game. Don't do that to yourself. you have a tummy full and watching the Chicago Bears is nauseating. You eat a lot of food, you watch the Bears, your tummy gets upset, you get upset, you feel down, the Bears lose. Just don't eat some food. Just wait until after you finish watching the Bears game and then enjoy some food for yourself. And my favorite number two to you Chicago Bears fans is to breathe, adjust expectations. I'm starting to sound like a guy who reads off zodiac signs and tells people what their horoscope is. But for Chicago Bears fans, I'm here for you guys. I care. I promise you. You guys are nauseating. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you guys out. And so make sure that you breathe, you stay calm. Don't set your expectations too high for the Chicago Bears. Don't do that to yourself because then you set your expectations high and they come crashing down when the Bears have another 7-10 season or a 6-11 season now that there's 17 games in the NFL. And so just breathe and make sure that you don't eat too much food before the Bears game. Don't be drinking too much before the Bears game because obviously you want to stay healthy. You want to feel good. The Bears are addicted to mediocrity, and so you don't want to be caught up in that too much. Just adjust your expectations and be careful with what you eat, and you Chicago Bears fans for this week will be A-okay. Okay? That was it for episode 1 of the Savvy Sports Podcast. I want to thank all of you for listening, all of you for watching. If you have any questions or if you'd like to tune in, twitch.tv/Savvy Sports Pod all together. YouTube, we will be available on YouTube tomorrow morning. Today is Sunday, November 6th. Tomorrow, Monday, November 7th, I will be posting this video to YouTube to make sure that all of you who don't tune into Twitch can tune in to YouTube, watch the show, enjoy the content and all of that. And like I said, today was just a special Sunday episode because I did the podcast yesterday, the Fretcast podcast with Fresh and Auntie Deja about sports. And today I figured, you know what, I'm in that spirit. Let's kick off the special Sunday episode. And then let you guys know what to expect. Mondays and Wednesdays here on twitch.tv/Savvy Sports Pod. Tuesdays and Thursdays on YouTube. Twitter, I will be posting it on my Twitter, my personal Twitter and my professional Twitter, on both Twitters. And if you guys ever have any questions or if you guys want to come in and debate with me in the chat, you guys are more than welcome to. I always appreciate healthy debate. I always appreciate being able to talk to people. And as always, I'm just a student. I want to learn about sports. I want to learn about basketball. I want to learn about football. Next week, we will probably be getting into the midway point of the NFL regular season. Before I end this podcast, I just remembered, last night, Saturday, was the Crown Jewel WWE Premium Live event, and I just want to give a special shout out to Logan Paul. Had an incredible match with Roman Reigns, I believe. They went about 22, 23 minutes. The guy, Logan Paul, tore his meniscus, tore his ACL, but he put on an incredible performance in his third match ever. That is quite impressive for Logan Paul. We wish you our best regards, buddy. We hope you get better soon. We want to see you back in the ring. We want to see you performing. But that was an incredible match last night. That was an incredible match. In Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, between, again, Logan Paul and Roman Reigns, with the bloodline getting involved and Logan Paul's entourage getting involved. Then Jake Paul comes down and he knocks out the Usos and Solo Sikoa. That was incredible to watch. Thank you guys so much for putting on that stellar performance. And again, our best wishes go out to Logan Paul. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I truly do appreciate it. And I will see you guys Wednesday Wednesday, November 9th. I will see you guys again for episode 2 of the Savvy Sports Podcast. My name is Jaime Nazario, signing off.